Hello and welcome to the first edition of Philanthrogeek xChange. My name is Nathaniel James and I'm here with Lacey Books, founder and executive director of YouthRoots. How are you doing?
I am good. How are you?
So for those who are going to check this video out, can you tell us more about YouthRoots? What your program is, how long have you been around?
Yeah, so I founded it 4 years ago in Denver, Colorado, and we are currently in our third program year, and we teach high school students how to change the world, and we actually do that.
That's great. And you use the philanthropic and grant-making process as your tool, at least one tool to teach young students how to change the world. So how does that work for you and for the students?
Yeah, so every year there are 15 students accepted to be part of Youth Roots. We call them the Youth Board. Next year we'll have 3 youth boards in the Denver metro area. Um, their process, the philanthropic process, like you said, we use as an experiential classroom. So it's a three-part system where they'll do a needs assessment of the community, and the whole thing's youth-led, so it changes. Basically, they'll do a needs assessment of the community. What are the most pressing issues facing children and youth in Denver? Then they go out and they fundraise for those issues, and then they pool that money together and give that money away to existing nonprofits that meet those needs that were identified in the earlier in the year. And then on top of that whole process, we have a leadership curriculum that they go through. And the model's designed, they learn leadership, they get to practice it, and teamwork and passions and strengths and all that good stuff. They get to practice it in that philanthropic process. So
It's,
hopefully to apply it to their lives.
yeah. So it's a year-long arc that matches the school year, September through May?
Yes. Yep,
Okay.
exactly.
And how do you find your students?
We try to get in front of every high school student or age equivalent in the Denver metro area. So we talk to counselors or high school teachers, youth serving organizations, any way we can get in front of high school students, we do.
Great.
Yeah.
And what's the makeup of the ones who finally do come through?
So we try to get a representation of the youth in our community on the board. So we have had about 40% free and reduced lunch students on the board, which has been great. We try to get equal number of male and females. We try to get you know, diversity in terms of first generation immigrants and any aspect of the word of diversity. We try to get it on our youth boards.
So you have high school students out in the community raising money. Raising money is, I do it all the time. You probably do it all the time, but for most people, it's terrifying, and I can imagine for high school students, it's intimidating. So how does that process work?
Yeah, we walk them through it. We don't just send them out and say, go, raise thousands of dollars. So we really facilitate that kind of learning and experience. So a core component of the fundraising part is businesses and individuals that we've contacted in terms of any adult who's associated with Youth Roots, and we call them social change partners. So they are businesses and individuals who've told us, yes, we will be a safe ask in terms of, we've kind of checked them out. We are sending teenagers out into the community, so make sure it's safe in kind of the traditional sense, but then also safe in terms of, are they going to slam a door on their face or say, you're a stupid little kid, get out of here. So we make sure that they're courteous to the students who are asking them for money.
So the students get connected to one of these partners, sit down and say, I would like $1,000. Is that what happens?
Yeah, pretty much. They are in teams of 2, and they go to at least 3 social change partner meetings. And we encourage the meetings to be kind of a mini mentor-mentee session too, kind of life advice and career advice. But they practice a lot, and we help them through, what is the best practice of actually wording how to ask for money. And yeah, they ask for money anywhere between $500 to $1,000 for
And
each ask.
I like what I'm hearing around it's a mentorship session in addition to fundraising. So can you give an example of what the students learning, what the mentors learning beyond just this, can you make a contribution to this to a project?
Yeah, so the social change partners, one, get, a real-time needs assessment report. What are the issues in our community that they need to be aware of facing children and youth who are, obviously our future in the community. So in Denver, we have 1 in 3 children live in poverty, which is the federal poverty rate. Early childhood education has been a priority of the students. High school dropout rate has been close to 50% in Denver public schools. Last couple of years, it's getting better. But so those are statistics that everybody needs to know about who are in our community. So they learn about that. The students also ask the mentors or the social change partner, how did you overcome them? How did you get to where you are in life? What do you define as success? And so we encourage them to ask those kind of questions too.
Great. And hopefully along the way they're finding that established adults or professionals in their community are accessible or and
exactly.
It builds other kinds of relationships too.
Yep, exactly. It's a really empowering moment for high school students to, sit across the table from a CEO of a bank, for example, and realize that they're just a human being who puts on their pants one leg at a time. And it's kind of breaks down the adult youth barriers, perceived barriers.
And how much does a typical youth board raise during one of your cycles?
Every year they've raised close to or around 10,000. This year they're projected to raise over 11,000.
Okay.
So,
do they tend to give 1 or 2 big gifts from that, or do they break them up into smaller grants?
Yeah, for the last 2 years they've given to 6 or 7 organizations each of the last 2 years, and this year tonight is when they determine who gets the money. So I don't know what it will be, but it's youth-led, so it may change. One year they may say we want to give all our money to one organization, and that would be allowed.
Great. Well, this brings us to so there's sort of 3 parts of the equation: the adults and the partners, the students who are leading their own experience in grant making, and now you have the nonprofits are coming up too as the grant applicants and grant receivers. So what is the experience like for them?
Yeah, so in the fall, after they do a needs assessment of the community, the students come up with the funding priorities or whatever the most pressing issues that they want to give money to. They send out a request for proposals to the nonprofit community. In Colorado, we have a thing called the Colorado Common Grant application, which is fantastic. So nonprofits, it's a 4 to 6 page grant application. Most nonprofits just have one in their file. And so we accept that grant application, and it's great for the students to be able to compare apples to apples in the same format and all that stuff. So they apply. So this year we had 46 organizations ask for money.
And historically 6 or 7 have gotten it in the past.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So the common grant, because these are relatively small grants amounts, and there's always a question for the nonprofit of the time and resources that goes into application. Do you talk to the nonprofits who apply and don't receive, and apply or do receive? Have they, what kind of feedback have they been sharing for you?
Yeah, the nonprofit community has loved the opportunity to get in front of high school students. A lot of, the needs assessments based on children and youth, and so a lot of them, the end users are youth. And so it's fabulous for them to have the opportunity to write in to youth asking for money for a solution that they believe is the best solution or one of the best solutions for that need. We've unfortunately aren't able to tell nonprofits why they weren't selected just because of the process and the time limit. But we haven't run into nonprofits kind of saying this is not worth it because, again, that common grant application really helps.
That's great. So thank you for giving us an overview of the program and how it's working for you. Let's talk about you. How did you come to this work, to youth philanthropy, to being a founder and executive director of a new nonprofit, which is a big lift? What's a little bit of your background, and what gets you up in the morning? What keeps you going?
Yeah, well, luckily I was naive for how much work it was going to be to start a nonprofit. So, no, I did a summer program in high school, and in high school I felt like I could change the world, me, myself, and I, let's go do this, and then I needed a hall pass to go to the bathroom, and it was just this weird dichotomy of, am I not to be trusted, and I had a high school physics teacher who was brilliant and fabulous and could have done anything in his life, but he chose to teach high school. And he was teaching one day up on the board, and he stopped and he turned around and he put his hands on the table and leaned in towards all of us, and he said, you know, I love my job. I love this. I love waking up every morning knowing I get to do this and teach you guys. And I just really want that for each and every one of you when you go out into the world, to love a job as much as I love this job. So that had a really profound impact on me. So like I said, I kind of started in high school and then college and the workforce after college, and I kind of had this idea, this golden nugget, passion of mine to start this program. And one morning, it was after '08, and I was working in a business that was, kind of struggling, and I was also teaching at the same time, so it was the summer, so I had kind of time to reflect and step back in my life, and I clearly heard my 17-year-old self say, you need to start this program, and you need to do it now, so I did. I listened to her, and I started it, and I wake up happy every day.
That's great. Did I hear you were involved in some kind of summer program in your high school years?
Oh, I was involved in something similar to YouthRoots. It was the philanthropic, so through the community foundation of my town, they had a youth advisory council, and I was on that. And it gave me, it empowered me to know that I had value as a teenager, that I could make a difference, that my voice was, it was an important part of the community and helping the community.
Great. Well, I have so many questions for you. I'm thinking about, what I'd love to learn about how these young people come together and make those collaborative decisions, because I've been in similar rooms, but not with high schoolers. But we're running a little bit out of time, and there's a question I want to ask everyone who participates in this interview series, which is, if all goes well, if you're really successful, how is philanthropy as a field different 25 years from now than it is now?
So if YouthRoots is successful, we are all across the nation in 25 years, so that when a student does go into a business in Wichita, Kansas, and says, I'm with YouthRoots and would like to ask you for $1,000, the reputation precedes, and it's an easier give for those community members. If it goes well, I think the mindset and the culture of our community as a country would be kind of just more ingrained of, high school students being involved and having a voice in their community change and social change, and just kind of have it more commonplace and like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And just more ingrained in our culture that teenagers really have a value in our community, a value in changing our communities for the better, and that they're a valuable resource for us to tap into.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time, and good luck. I know it's student-led, but at least have fun, I guess, with the decision-making process tonight, and keep us informed, and really appreciate your sharing this with us today.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right. Take care.
Thanks.